Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. Today is June 4th and the whole garden is finally planted out. So today let's take a tour and see what's growing. This is a purple table grape. There's a man who walks by my front garden every day, and he gave it to me. He said he felt like this would give it a good home. The birds love these grapes, especially the catbirds and the cardinals. So I've set up some shelves, a table, and some chairs to give them a place to perch and enjoy their feast. They should be ready at the end of July. Now these are mini roses that I just rescued from the nearby historic old cemetery. After Mother's Day, it's a good time to dig through those trash cans and find old discarded plants. So I brought them home 2 weeks ago. They hardly had any leaves on them, but I planted them and look, they look so good. They're growing well. Now, I started growing in this garden 17 years ago, but got really serious about no-till 12 years ago when I was hit with rheumatoid arthritis. I had to find an easier way to garden. So in the fall, I take any old mulch or old plants and I scatter them around the garden and cover everything with cardboard. Then I top that with a new layer of mulch. So for 12 years, I've been building soil, because everything under that cardboard breaks down. Means that this garden is about 1 foot taller than my neighbor's yards. Now back then I didn't have a lot of money, and that's one reason I used cardboard and for many years mulched with fall leaves, because both of them were free. But the soil would erode. So I started using bricks to make a little wall to hold in the extra soil. Because I already had the bricks that came with the house, and we had a place that we could get some more for free. So basically, I started with free things in my garden to build rich soil. Now, one thing that's new this year are these super hoops. I wanted to protect the onions the whole growing season. Now I have some low hoops, but the onion tops would always outgrow that size. And I need to protect them here in the heart of the city from digging animals, squirrels, skunks, and robins mainly. Those are my big three. And so far, I'm really liking this. Now, it does require the netting to be 10 feet wide. And let's open this up and see what's growing inside. Now, the first thing we planted mid-March were our onions. And we have 3 varieties. A red Italian flat, which will be ready mid-June. pretty soon. Walla Walla and a sweet yellow Spanish Utah onion. And those two will be ready in July. Now they've just started the bulbing up stage. But see how beautiful and big these green tops are? Those are my solar panels sucking in the sun's energy to grow big bulbs. Now, mid-April, we planted this broccoli rabe and got our first harvest at the very end of that month. And I'm growing this for Dale's salads. Now, which parts do I put in the salad? So I include the flower buds and the flowers. I have to put the netting back on to keep protecting the onions from the digging animals and the broccoli rabe from cabbage worms. Now we have one blueberry bush, and you do require more than one for pollination, but my neighbor has two. And this cage is to protect from the birds eating our berries. I love my birds, but I don't want to share the blueberries, and they will eat them green, so we never have a chance to harvest. But this will allow pollinators in to pollinate the berries. Now, blueberries do require watering. Most of the garden I don't have to water because I use a deep mulch. But blueberries have very shallow roots. I think this is its 4th year, and the first 2 years it grew really slowly because I didn't know to water it enough. Now every day I give it 2 to 3 gallons of water if it doesn't rain. And over here is our flower ring. In the spring, the first thing that grows are the beautiful yellow daffodils all around it. And in the middle, we have snowflakes and paper whites along the front. And interspersed are the irises in April, and then the purple alliums. But all of those are done. Next are going to be the gladiolas and lilies, about July. Now this area will be full of our California giant zinnias, planted mid-May, and in the middle of them, fennel. Butterflies, goldfinch, bees, and hummingbirds love zinnias. The swallowtail butterflies will lay their eggs in the fennel, and the caterpillars will eat the leaves. It's one of their host plants. And along this fence, we have our sunflowers. The variety is a multi-branching autumn beauty mix. Bees, goldfinch, cardinals love the sunflowers, and the squirrels too. They're gonna bloom really soon. And this whole area here is for our yellow summer squash. A straight neck and a crook neck variety. It's just gonna fill this whole space, and that's why I only planted 3 mid-May. And we're gonna start harvesting in just a couple of weeks. Now these onions were planted at the same time as the other onions, mid-March. But I do expect these bulbs to be bigger because they get more morning sun and afternoon sun. Overall, they get more sun right here. In front of the onions are our June-bearing strawberries, which actually started producing late April, and they've just finished. There's occasionally 1 or 2 that'll pop up. So now, every day, I look for and cut runners because I want the plants to grow bigger. I need to thin them out if they're getting crowded, and I need to fertilize them. And I'm going to use this organic berry tone. This area only has this one sunflower because I've reserved this space for okra. Now here in north central Maryland, if I want fresh okra, I have to grow it myself. But the challenge is, okra doesn't like nighttime temperatures below 65, and we're still having nighttime temperatures below 65. So I started these inside in mid-February because I wanted big, strong plants. And so far, it's been very successful. There's plenty of blossoms, and every day I'm getting 1 or 2 fruit. These were planted in mid-May. Now here's our simple compost ring. In the fall, I'll take the plant matter in here and chop and drop it around the garden and then lay cardboard on top. If there's any left over, I'll flip it onto the area that now has the zinnias. And then at the bottom, I'll harvest the compost that's ready. I've been doing this for years. Now along here is my favorite vegetable to grow, my sweet red peppers. These are Ivarski. They were planted just, I think, 1.5 weeks ago, and they've been suffering from the cold. You'll see some purple leaves that are actually falling off now, but it is growing new leaves because it's warming up. But it's interesting, there's one plant near the compost that has not suffered any cold damage, and it's because of the heat radiating off of this compost ring. Now, I do feed these cow mag because here we suffer from blossom end rot. All my neighbors do too. Next to the peppers are the Black Beauty eggplant. Those were planted 2 weeks ago, and they've just kind of been in limbo, waiting for the warm weather. And now they're starting to leaf out too. They're both going to be ready to harvest in July. Now, green peppers will be ready before that, but I prefer to wait until they turn red. When the onions are done in July, we'll take off these super hoops because the peppers and the eggplant, they don't need the netting, and it'll give more space to spread out. Now here in the alley is the grandkids' garden. And they just have a little bit of everything. And this is where we have a community shelf. It's where I give away free plants. Like right now I have some strawberries I potted up and I'm waiting for them to develop roots. Then I'll set them out on the shelf and people will come get them for free. The grandkids were here last week and planted these. And these strawberries, I just moved from an area that I thinned, so they haven't yet developed their roots. The big leaves, they're going to die off, and new leaves will grow from the center. Over here, from our fall leaves, we bagged them up, and they're going to break down into soil. But it's going to take 2 years. So I think they'll be finished. They've already gone through the winter and they'll be ready spring of 2026. Now I do have to water this garden every day if it doesn't rain. This bed is full of 4 years of composted quail bedding. Most of it's broken down. The newest that's in there is more than 1 year old. And in each planting hole, I do put in potting soil. I set this up in 2021. And every year I just added more and more compost to it. That's a young dove that's only been here a few days. There's several new doves. It hasn't yet figured out what to do when I'm walking through. Tomorrow come back for part 2 of our garden tour. It's getting late and it's time for me to cook Dale's dinner. Thank you for visiting Withrow Urban Homestead. See you later. Bye-bye.